Do you believe that?
Yes.
Do you believe even in the valley, God is good?
Yes.
Okay then, why would you call anything bad? Oh yes, even in the valley, God is good, but this is bad. I've heard it over and over and over again. I was like, oh, I think we're missing something there. This is bad. This is bad. You know, that was a good thing. This is a bad thing. You know, well, this is good, but this is other thing is bad. And oh, this is a bad thing that happened. And oh, I got a bad cold. And I got a this, and I got a bad this. And it's like, how do you know? How do you know it's bad? Could it just be your arrogance that lets you think you know? Could it just be that we are so arrogant we think we know what's good and what's bad? Or could it be we are so confused that we don't know the difference between bad and what I don't like? Could it just be I don't like it? Could it just be I'm afraid of it? Could it be that and it doesn't have to go all the way to bad? Could it?
Yes.
Anybody? Are you committed to bad?
No.
Okay, then speak up. When I ask a question, speak up. Except when I don't want you to. I'll let you know after the fact. But it is so simple. I'm not saying it's so easy. I'm saying it's so simple if we pay attention. If we just pay attention to our thinking and our language, and we can see how quickly we will send ourselves or another to hell. We who don't even have hell. Unity, who has no hell, who has no guilt, who has no sin, will so quickly send ourselves or another into hell without even paying attention. We don't have to. We don't have to. There's no cause for guilt over that. It's just we have forgotten. We have forgotten. Today's talk comes from the book of Numbers. Believe me, I never thought I'd be doing a talk in the book of Numbers, let alone two. 2 weeks ago I talked about Numbers as well. And but this comes from basically the 20th chapter of Numbers. This is our last part of Moses. Moses went on for a long time. A whole long time. There at leading the people from Egypt, which metaphysically means bondage. And there they were stuck in Egypt for 40 years. Why were they stuck? Because they could not accept their good. Many of us get stuck in the wilderness for a long time because we see the good, but we just don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to accept it. It seems too simple, or we're afraid it could not be our good. Who here has ever wanted to sing a song, but you were too afraid to?
No.
You weren't too afraid to. You did sing.
But there was a time when I was too afraid to.
Yeah, really? When? When you were two?
I was terrified to get up in front of people.
But didn't you do it anyway?
Not right away.
Okay.
And there were times I did. At my bar mitzvah, I didn't sing a song. I was asked to sing because I was too scared.
Okay. He fouled up his bar mitzvah for everybody. Out of fear. Let me rephrase this question. Who here who has never sang a song, even though they wanted to, because they were afraid to? Never sung a song in your life? Publicly. Publicly. You come to open mic and you see people get up. And you'd like to. But I couldn't. Oh, I just couldn't do that. Who here has ever wanted to do stand-up comedy? And you didn't because you were too afraid? Anybody? You know? You are especially. wanted to do a career other than what you're doing, but you didn't pursue it because you were too afraid. Yeah. And that's what I mean. You had the idea, so it tells me it was in you to do it or to pursue it and find out. Okay. Now, many of you have walked through that fear and done it anyway. Many of you have said, well, maybe I could. Maybe I could sing a song. Yeah, maybe I've seen people not be an artist say they won't paint a picture because they can't draw a straight line. But what about the audience who wants the painting with the crooked line? And you have deprived them of your artwork. I'll tell you something. People who get up and do what they want to do. Now, I use performance as an example because it's so prevalent around here. There's so many other things in the world you could be doing. But more people are admired because they tried than the ones who wanted to and didn't try. People who want to and don't even try are never admired, are never teachers, are never leaders. But the one who tries, and maybe they aren't the best at it ever, they are the example of what is possible, of what I call God flowing through them, of what I call principle flowing through them. Those are the ones that say, oh, I am the minister today because I heard the voice that said, do this, and I won't tell you how it's going to turn out. The voice never tells us what the results are going to be. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
You get this amazing divine inspiration to go into battle, that's your emotional battle, but you never hear in advance how it's going to turn out. You have to trust that part, that it's going to turn out in a way. Here's two ways it could turn out. The way you like it or the way you don't like it. You know, those are usually the two ways it can turn out. Kathy Griffin, one of my favorite comics, she said she got up and did stand up, and she did a killer set. And for the next 2 years, she bombed. For 2 years, she bombed repeatedly. And Kathy's not one to do it once in a while. Kathy is one who wants it so much, she's doing it over and over and over again. And she bombed. Joan Rivers bombed repeatedly. Thomas Edison bombed repeatedly. Not stand-up, he was amazing at stand-up, but he You know, most scientists have failed more than they've succeeded, especially spiritual scientists, and that's what we are. We are spiritual scientists here, and we have failed probably more times than we have succeeded. And we haven't failed because we were stupid. It's because we hadn't put the right combination of thoughts together in order to see a result that we wanted. And sometimes we have put thoughts into things that we didn't even know we were putting in and had amazing success and then don't understand it. I find people who have healing skills in their being often can, or psychic skills can often become extremely nervous and agitated because they don't understand the power flowing through them, and so they hide from their gifts. They hide from their abilities. A good friend of mine went into the hospital this week. He and his wife came to my show on Monday night, had dinner with us afterwards. I had no idea anything was going on, and the next day I got an email from her saying that turns out his surgery he was to have was more serious than they had thought. Surgery? What surgery? I didn't know. And then I was asked for prayers. And it was touch and go. It's like, oh my goodness, I just had dinner with you. And she said, the last picture I have is the two of you together at the Metropolitan Room. And last night, something switched. And I've been leaving prayer messages and affirmations and sending pages of affirmations all week. And this morning she called the house and left a message saying how grateful she was and how she attributes the prayers I left for the shift in him. Now, I don't have a clue. How, I can't take credit for any of that. I really can't. Because, I just prayed. I was asked to pray, I pray. I was asked for affirmations, I affirm. I was asked, I gave. I can't predict the results. I knew whether he stayed or went. It was fine. I also knew there was pain involved either way. If he stays, he's got to heal. If he leaves, the rest of us have to heal. And so there's always pain. There seems to always be pain. But even in the valley, that valley of not knowing, the wilderness of not knowing, God is still good. God is still going to be God. Good is still going to be good. Truth is still going to be true. And so, this Moses and Aaron thing, they're coming up leading into the promised land. They're getting there. They're getting there. They're getting there. And then things go awry. They go and they take a peek. And while they've been away, the citizens have revolted again. Here they are, stuck in this wilderness. They don't have any water. Their basic human needs have disappeared. And now, what do you do when that happens? Well, you don't take responsibility for your own consciousness. Let's blame the leaders. Let's blame the leaders. It's their fault. You brought us here, and now we don't have what we need. Well, yes, I brought you here, but who followed? That's what I mean when I said before about you can criticize the Kardashians, you can criticize so many, but somebody's watching their show. There is a demand for a lot of this stuff. And these people there was a demand to get out of the bondage of self. But the process of getting out was so painful, was so excruciatingly painful in the mind. And then they're in the wilderness, and there was 1,000 opportunities to leave that wilderness sooner. And they said, no, that can't be it. No, that can't be it. No, that can't be it. And then, as I said 2 weeks ago, they wanted to retreat back. But once you've gotten on the journey of freedom, you can't. There's no going back into true bondage. So it's hell in the hallway, as they say. And keep going. Keep going. You've got to keep going. We've all got to keep going. We have introduced a new thought to ourselves about our bodies, about our lives, about our living, about our thinking. We have to keep going because there is no going back. When I entered recovery, substance recovery, there was no going back. I was in hell for a while. I remember being at a meeting. I was 19 days. And I heard somebody say he had 58 days, and I thought, I'll never make it. And I didn't think I'd drink again. I thought I would explode. I thought my head will just explode one of the days before 58 days. Because I don't know how to tolerate being in this body anymore with these thoughts. I just don't know, because I'm not numbing them. I've already started on the journey. So there was no going back, and many people have tried going back, and it is a worse hell than it ever was before. And it's the same with our spirituality when we try to go back. So here's what happened. Moses and Aaron went off to check out the new land, and it's like, okay, they get back. Now everybody's mad at them, yelling at them. You brought us here. You're lousy leaders. It's kind of like the respect for our political offices. It's like they are elected, and then we hate them because we're not willing to change. We hate our leaders because we're not willing to shift our thinking, our mind. We hate our ministers, some days. We hate our parents. We hate our political leaders. We hate our religious leaders because we're not willing to do the work that ought to be done by us. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. It doesn't say let there be peace on earth and let it begin with my president. It says let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. What is earth? It's actually not this planet. It's actually my body. earth represents the body metaphysically. Let there be peace, as Charles Fillmore says, in earth. In earth. In earth. Let there be peace in here. So, Moses, the leader, gets mad. Gets mad at these people. You know, come on, rebels. He calls them rebels. Listen up, rebels. There, it's Numbers, book of Numbers 20. Book 20, chapter 20 of the book of Numbers, 1 through 13. And he starts to yell at them. And they say, but we want water. And the Bible says that he and Aaron fell on their faces to pray. And what they heard in prayer was, ask this rock for water. That's what they heard in prayer. They get back up and they're still being yelled at. And Moses has had enough. And he hits the rock twice with his stick. Staff, thank you. Staff, something. And water comes out. They get their water. And Moses doesn't get to go into the promised land because he was told in prayer to ask the water, not hit the rock. To ask the rock for water, not hit it. His anger kept him out of the promised land. It was his anger. And what is the promised land? Anybody? What would you say? Peace. Peace. Can you see where your anger could keep you from peace? Anybody? Can you see that it is actually not the highway to peace? Our anger keeps us out of peace. Our justified rage at the world keeps us out of peace. Let me read this. It comes from this lovely little book called Let There Be Light by Elizabeth Sand Turner. Mrs. Turner had a series of 3 books. There was Let There Be Light. There was, dear Lord, I've forgotten. I've just gone blank. Anyway, one's on the Old Testament, one's on the Gospels, and one is on Acts through Revelation. These wonderful metaphysical Bible interpretation books. And so I like them a lot. So I just want to read this because I want to get it the way that she wrote it. You think that would just be right there? Oh dear Lord. Oh, there it is. Metaphysically, considering the incident in the light of its spiritual meaning, we should recall that Moses does not represent the full spiritual consciousness. He stands for the recognition and acknowledgement of God as principle or law. Something must be added, for love is the fulfillment of the law. That's what Moses was missing. Moses, through Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, was all about the law. The law is essential because the law will never be absent. But and it helped to cause, what is that word? It's not civilize the people. It helped to get them a bit more civilized. But you can't get in to peace without love. You can't get into the land of Canaan without love. And that's why today's talk is called Law and Love Go Hand in Hand into the Promised Land. Moses acknowledged that there is a promised land, that there is peace. Moses understood all that. He acknowledged that there was law, that there is principle. He acknowledged all of that, which I think all of us can do as well. We can acknowledge this, there is a path. It is a good path. I believe in it, but I'm not ready to do it. I'm not ready to surrender my heart into that path. My heart, my love, believe it or not, is still in the wilderness. My heart is still in my complaints. My heart is still in my misperceptions. My heart is still in lack. My heart is still in, but I'm right. My heart is still in the value of my opinions. And so, I believe in the law, but I haven't put all of my heart into the love of the law, the love of principle, the love of what I absolutely know to be true. And I know that most of us in this room know the difference between what is true and what is false. I know it. I know it as sure as anything. Until I get on the highway. So I read a newspaper. Till a news channel comes on when I'm at lunch. So you look at me the wrong way. You know, it's till you use a tone of voice that just isn't acceptable. Dare you speak to me that way? You know, it never dawn. How often does it dawn on us what somebody else might be going through at the moment when they speak to us in a way they should not speak to us? You know, it's a law and love must go hand in hand to get into the promised land. Love, therefore, is the fulfillment of the law. Would you, right here, right now, go ahead and love your opinions, even though they're wrong? Because you see, by loving them, there's no guilt for them. There's no hatred of yourself for having them. It's okay that they're wrong. Go ahead and love yourself for where you are. Be so generous as to love your neighbor, no matter how wrong they may be. Love your money, no matter how much of it you may have or think you don't have. Love all of your addictions. Love all of your confusion. Love all of it. It's not going to last. Anything that is not true is not going to last. Could you be so courageous? Courageous as to love yourself with all your mind, with all your soul, and all your strength? Would you be so brave as to say, I'm not bad, I am good? Would you be so brave as to say, my neighbor is good and I don't have to know how? I'm just willing to know that it is so, and therefore think the thoughts that it is so. And if I can't do that, I will at least walk away and interrupt the conversation. Would you be so brave as to attempt the things you long to experience? Would you be so brave, so courageous as to love your neighbor even on the highway? Would you be so brave as to love your body no matter what the scale says, no matter what the measuring tape says? Would you be so courageous as to love your bank account no matter how many numbers are in it? Would you love your mother and your father whether you like them or not? Would you love your children whether you like them or not? Would you love your dear precious thoughts whether you like them or not? Would you love those you don't agree with? Would you be the one to let peace begin with you? It's really